Don't you know? Don't you know? Frank the Tank here, Frankie James, coming on to do a devastating news we got today. I mean, interesting conversation I had with my guest that's going to come on, and he's got a pretty interesting point, which I think is just going to rock the world. But we received word that Sean Couturier has had an injury. We'll flash that up. Her and Sam. Great photo by Heather too, by the way. Shout out to Heather. Heather B Images. Great gal. Great shots. Herniated disc in the back. Could miss several months, possibly the season. I don't even know what to say, but we're going to be talking about it. We got special guests coming on. Good friend, mine. We just got linked up recently. Took some interest in a little position, but we've done some talking. It's even with all some of the personal stuff I've been through, he's kind of been there. Somebody I can go to, and he's definitely becoming a good friend. Just a great guy all the way around from the Philadelphia Warriors and the new beat writer for Flyers. We're happy to have him. He's going to be doing some great stuff. My good man, Alec Costanzi, my man. Welcome to the show, my brother.
How are you today? I am very excited. This is very cool.
I'm happy to have you on here, man. We check in with each other a couple times a week, and I always thank you for that, of course. We'll talk about that after the show, too, because we do have an update on Pop. Devastating news today. We're losing Couturier possibly for the year. Got a comment here. Oh, hey, Caitlin. How you doing? What's going on? Thanks for checking in. Devastating, like I just had said. This is a player that was going to possibly be a captain. This is a player that had just signed the biggest contracts of history that was going to keep him here longer than any player ever. Player that's here, definitely a former South. This is probably the worst thing that could happen besides losing your goaltender. What were your initial thoughts? And we're going to go back and forth, but your initial thoughts when seeing this? Because I mean, this is shaking up pretty big.
Honestly, I am not, and this is where all that controversy is going to come in immediately. I am not panicking whatsoever.
We dove into that. I kind of led you into that one. I knew where this was going.
It's just one of those things where life is going to happen, especially in sports, which are contact, especially in really any kind of job where you're out there. Like I was combat arms in the military, served in Iraq for a little bit before I suffered a pretty bad injury to my neck.
Thank you for your service, my brother. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Anytime. But it's one of those injuries that it's terrible to have, but it's, if life's going to sneak up on you, this is really the best time for it to happen. You don't have the preseason games yet. Tortorella's still, according to the media at least, I haven't really heard too much on my own, but he's supposed to be shaking up the locker room, shaking up the lines. And from what I've been seeing, pretty much following the Flyers since like 1992, almost before I could even walk, with how my father's been a fan for like over 50 years. Having Coots right now would be great, but he's not going to be one of those. If the season goes the way it has been going, having him on the line or not having him on the line is not going to affect it whatsoever. Not consecutively. Should he actually be able to rehab and come back, especially closer to the playoffs, I can see that he could only be a huge asset to the team. But again, the team getting to the playoffs is not going to come down to him.
It's a good point. It's a good point, and I think it's valid. So I'll definitely say that. And if you're looking at this season as kind of a wash, if you're looking at this season like a lot of question marks, maybe take this season, pinpoint those things, and like narrow them down, and use this season as like a crutch, more or less. Yeah, I get it. But also, with that being said, we don't have the and we're both hockey players, so we can kind of go with this. Like the talent isn't there to have a guy like Coots be out. So if the Bay Lightning, they leave, and what just happened before, they lose Stamkos 2-3 months, not wearing much because they have that firepower behind him. We lose Coots for 7-8 months. We're looking at like a possible, which may not be a bad thing, but those show it's I mean,
Well, yeah.
it's unfortunate. Who I just can't even believe it. Do you think this is just your opinion? Like he had surgery last year. They're saying it's not related. Like it just came out like a couple weeks ago. He was ready. I just did an article with FlyersInsider.com talking about Hayes and Coots and saying how they're back, they're healthy, they're ready, and it gets exciting reading those pieces. And then we get hit with this, and I don't know if that spot could be filled. I'm optimistic about the players that we've been able to see during rookie camp because, like you just mentioned about it, it was exciting. It was exciting. There's definitely players excited about the Cates brothers are doing incredible things. There's a good piece on that. Tyson Forster, but we're talking about the centerman position. Well, Bobby Brink's not playing. He's still hurt. That was a guy that people were really excited about. Even with that being said, it just goes with the constant injuries. And at the centerman position, look at last year. Top 3 centermen all out within the 3. And then overall, players just keep getting hurt. And Alfred Lefty, not that we're doctors or anything, but like why?
Right. I think
it's just
and if
anything that can go wrong will the Flyers. Yeah, I mean, we hate to look at it like that, but I mean it's like happening. Like anything that's going wrong just goes wrong with. It's definitely devastating. But I mean, your take.
I'm so sorry for this, but I really need to push back on everything that was just said. Because I remember like the first game I came out, I medically retired from the military in 2013, pretty much the beginning of the in like the beginning of January.
Yeah.
I got tickets for the season after that. So I think it was like 2013, 2014.
Okay.
I took my dad. We were sitting there in the Wells Fargo Center, in the nosebleeds, just because I was like, to be there for a game is just to be there for a game.
We love looking up top anyway. I love the top view. I can dissect more.
This is what happened. When they were introducing the roster, they were introducing the lines, the coaches, the physical training staff, everybody. Coburn came out and had like a broken wrist or a broken ankle. Yeah. And from all the fans around me, I heard, "Oh, there goes the season. Season's over." I actually watched people stand up and leave. And this is one of those moments where I'm like, this isn't good. I'm not saying this is good. This will never be good. But it is not even a nail in the coffin right now. The season hasn't started. Even if he was here, he would need to be A, completely healthy, and B, he would have to show that, I think that real drive to be that leader, which is not going to happen. It's going to take him at least, I would say, from personal experience, having grown up and played the game pretty much all my life.
Oh, yeah.
To be a captain is not to be the most skilled person on the team. It's not even necessarily to be the guy who is going to be doing all those flashy. I would even say you don't even need to have the most points on the team or anywhere close to be the captain.
I agree.
The captain, you need to lead. And whenever everybody is all up in arms, being like, "Hey, we're kicking butt, we're doing all this," the captain needs to be like, "Okay, simmer down. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Let's keep this reined in." Or if you're losing, and this is really where I think Claude Giroux started to really hit the end of his career with Philadelphia.
Yeah.
You really need to be the one that says, "Guys, whatever is going on, we need to do something to snap ourselves out of it. If anything, we need to do it for the fans, and we need to do it for the city.
Wow. Oh, I like to spear for a second. He's back. Missed that last part.
Oh, you good?
Yeah, I missed that last part. Yeah, when it about culture.
But again, I was always one of those, like, I grew up, again, Eric Lindros, John LeClaire, Michael Remberg, Legion of Doom line. We had Ron Hextall doing his thing, like two-handing Chris Chelios in the back of the knees.
Those were leaders. They were even leaders. Like, Eric Lindros was a leader on this team, but he had guys supporting cast with leaders. And you made a great take about Couturier and about the leadership. I don't think Sean Couturier is realistically captain material. What the hell does that mean? Material. I would pick Joel Farabee over him, realistically. I would take Joel Farabee as a captain over him, among other guys. But the reason for all this, and we look around, there is no leader on this team right now. I don't see it. Just because you've been on the team the longest doesn't make you a captain. Just because you're the best player doesn't make you a captain. Just like what you said, it's a special trait. It's about the famous quote. It's about the logo on the front, not the name on the back. That's a leader. That's a guy who's the captain that plays for the team and not for himself. I don't think there should be a captain this year. I've been saying it. The Rangers did it for 4 or 5 years. And, things have turned out. This team needed such accountability, and things are shaking up. And I think Torch is the job I can this year. And even with that being said, I don't think Sean Couturier is captain material. Literally a great point.
But I think it's too early to tell. It could be one of those things where a captain rises to the challenge. It could be it's just a season where we're just rebuilding. And again, it was one of those moments where I, for one, and I'll say this, and I will fight anyone in Philly who wants to come to my house and fight me. If it comes down to Coots being out for the entire season, if it means he's going to come back just as strong and actually healthy and healed as much as you can be, I am all for him just sitting out the entire season. He is not going to be a Chris Pronger situation where I will even go out there and say, I can't prove it, but I think if Chris Pronger was healthy when he had the contract with us, we would have gone all the way at least. But
I couldn't agree more. But our good man Skylar Walker on here. Thanks for checking in, brother. Our good man over at flowersinsour.com. Question for both. He's got, what are thoughts on JVR and Hayes on the same line? How slow will that be? I'll take this one. First, and we'll get your take on it. Oh man. Well, here's the deal about JVR. I was never a fan of him being drafted, so there's that, and everybody already knows why. I don't think that they should have brought him back. I think you should have kept Simmons at that point if you're going to bring him back. They're the same player and cheaper deal with Simmons. JVR is the third line guy to me anyway. He's a body in front of the net that's making money to do shit. I'm sorry, I get mad about this because this JVR thing, man. I want him gone. I wanted him gone. Nobody, it's time. And this is his last year here. He's so money on the same line. I mean, I guess what are they going to be on the second line? Go ahead. Because I know they can't be on the second because JVR does not need to be second line minutes. No way. Hayes, I would ease him in. Get his mind right. And I think that's what John Tortorella is going to do. Who's slowing down? You're not playing as much. I wouldn't be surprised. Here we go. Hot take of the year. JVR will be a healthy scratch over here. The way that John Tortorella coaches, the players that want to play, and two, the youth of this team needs to start getting more time. That body in front of the net, and I don't think it's going to work for John Tortorella either. You heard it here 4 times that JVR will be healthy scratch this year. I think that line's going to be a joke, and it's discussed. The player is on there. Start opening the season with JVR as a healthy scratch. To be honest with you. Your take on that one, Alec? Got me all fired up, man.
I
Good
think
question.
that especially with the latest past couple of seasons with the Flyers, being on the first, second, third, fourth line doesn't mean anything because how many games and how many uh, times have we gotten blown out of the water because or just because the first line would be on the ice, the first defensive pair would be on the ice. Meanwhile, Carter Hart's standing in front of the net on top of his head because he's got three guys from the other team standing in front of him completely unopposed. Uh, so I don't think it necessarily matters. If I was Tortorella, I would actually use the preseason games, even just throw away maybe throw away a week or two of the regular season team, put them on the same line, at least if this is what he's thinking, put them on the same line and just see what they do. Who's going to
I agree.
rise to the occasion, who's not going to rise to the occasion. And that could be the moment when, as you're saying, where JVR actually then earns himself the healthy scratch.
I couldn't agree more with that. 100% couldn't agree more. And this team isn't consistent enough. This
Mhm.
team has no leadership, and you can't just say, "Oh, you're not going to play this game." You've been on this team for a while. Realistically, nobody's safe. There's a couple people are, but things shaken up. I'm not, the rebuild, but I'm very opinionated on a lot of players, and I have my eyes on a lot of players on this roster that I have question marks about. One being Travis Konechny. Everybody knows how I feel about him. He is the
Right.
one player on this team that has the most to prove. 3 years he scored over 20, 22 goals and put up almost 70 points, and then nothing. 16 games in the playoffs that year and had 7.0 goals after scoring 25 in the season, and you haven't seen anything since. It goes back with the leadership, and then it goes back with the Sean Couturier injury. The purpose of this, it's going to shake up things, but it's also going to show who is going to step up. Realistically, we didn't really talk about that. Now you lost a big player, maybe a potential leader, someone that the guys know in the locker room. Who's stepping up? Who's going to be the guy? And this is a great point too by my man Danny. We ain't had a good captain since Mike Richards. Now I'm a big fan of Claude. His leadership was questionable, but I do like Claude Giroux a lot. But I think that Richards was one of the most underrated captains in the Flyers history. It showed it
Agree.
on the ice. 100% showed it on the ice. I love Mike Richards. Did an article about him earlier in the year. I loved him. I thought he was incredible. And watching him, the way he played, like it was. Oh man, it was just incredible. You can give your take on Mike Richards if you want. I'm sure you saw him quite a few times.
I think number one, Mike Richards, I was always, as soon as I started a new season on like NHL that EA would put out for my Xbox, I was always trying to get Mike Richards back. Always.
That's funny as shit.
Gagne was my second choice, but
I always traded for Maxim Afanaganov. I always would trade for that guy. Remember him from Buffalo?
I probably would have, but I was always like, I gotta just start the season and then just go with it. I always quit after 3 games anyway, so because I was getting my butt kicked. But
funny as
shit. I think our biggest thing right now, again, is we need to stop looking at individuals. I will say Claude Giroux, when he first started, I thought he was the next Eric Lindros because.
Man, that comparison.
Hold on. Because if you remember his first game against the Pittsburgh Penguins, when everyone was saying Crosby versus Giroux, and I think it was one of his first shifts, not only does Giroux make Crosby look like a little bitch, but he beat the crap out of him too. And I was like, how can you get more Philadelphia than this? It's the only thing. That is the only thing which shut me up about Gritty, is that Gritty threatened the Pittsburgh Penguin mascot on like Instagram or something. That was his first public statement. So how can you get more Philly than that? But right now, our team, we have always been the Broad Street Bullies, always.
Yeah.
And now we are a team with a roster that does not have anyone who can fulfill that role. and I'm going to keep my mouth shut about what was that? Who was that new guy? D'Angelo that just got signed?
Yeah. Thought about that one. I feel on that for
Yeah,
sure. And I think that he was brought on this team because of the Ellis injury, but for personal reasons, I know what you're talking about.
I'm going to keep my mouth shut about him. I play
Yeah.
hockey with, or just I play pickup hockey with his dad, or not his dad, the dad of a former teammate of his growing up.
Yeah.
And I think he really has the most to prove right now
Good point.
because
Obvious
he,
reasons.
yeah, and from this dad, he's like, you know, this kid, whether they won and blew out the other team or they lost by a goal or two, he was a cancer in the locker room. His parents were the worst things about it. Blah blah blah. So I am very but I'm not going to get into that. That's a whole discussion for another day. The team really has a
Word.
identity issue right now. The league has changed so
Absolutely.
much.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. The league has changed so much. The NHL has turned into like a league that you would see in Europe at this point, where it's very fast paced. A lot of it,
Yeah.
they want a high scoring game, and the moment, like when Voracek, what was it, Voracek versus that one guy on the New York Islanders. I remember this play in particular because Voracek got suspended for the rest of the playoffs for Stanley Cup. Voracek's against the boards. He, dumps the puck in right in front of the offensive blue line. So he dumps the puck in. He's in a completely he it who is this guy's name? It's driving me crazy.
Chandler,
But basically,
if somebody's
Voracek,
listening, we'll have
yeah.
them in the comments.
But I remember
Sure.
Voracek was just standing there, completely out of the play. At the last second, he looks over, and here comes this guy right off of his bench, making a beeline for him. And he's in such a vulnerable position that Voracek has to defend himself by making a reverse hit.
The hit on Boydchuk. Yeah.
Yes. And
Thanks, Skyler. Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. It
And
was.
if you remember how the NHL and ESPN and CSN and everybody treated like that, they were ready to crucify Voracek.
Yep.
And I'm sitting there like, is Vancouver or Ottawa or whoever watches these replays, like, are they watching the same game?
The old New York, it was probably Brendan Shanahan. He was the guy that was president of that at that time. And Skyler gave us the answer as the hit on Boydchuk, and he also makes a good point about Jeff Carter was giving up so early in Philly.
Yeah, I was
that was
mad
just a
about
whole
that too.
mishap with the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, he was coming off like a 40-goal year. And we'll maybe on the show, and maybe we'll get Skyler in here. I know I've been trying to for a little bit. We're going to transition. We already did the future, but I want to bring up he signed Sean Couturier out once again. We're breaking news from earlier today, and I'm joined by Alec with the Philadelphia Warriors and also beat writer FlyersInsider.com. And this is a big thing here, and I want to see what the fans also have to say and what the viewers have to say. Comment in, please. Should there be any consideration of moving on from Coots? He's been out the last 2 years. He has a lot of money invested in him. I'm not saying that I think they should, but it is a topic of discussion. I can't see why not. I can't see how it's not. Well, I want to get your take on this one first, Alec.
Again, I still think it's too preemptive to try to decide anything.
Yeah,
Again,
and I would say like
I
trade
don't.
him right now. Like I'm just saying.
Oh, well, right.
He's going to miss the whole year again.
Right.
Essentially.
I think honestly, I think the Flyers front office needs to just yield to Tortorella. Tortorella's going to say, "Look, I need X, Y, Z to do this," and if Tortorella says, "Look, I need you guys to, look at his contract and let me know what you can do with it. Let me know who you can get." I think the front office needs to do that. But again, I have no issue with Coots sitting out the rest of this season, so it can come back healthy next season, or come back healthy so it can be that bargaining chip for a trade for somebody else. Because honestly, I'm not sure if I think Coots really wants to be here. and I really appreciate that. But if this injury is actually going to take its course, and I've been suffering, but I've been dealing with mine, and I will be dealing with it for the rest of my life since 2013.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that these are not things you want to risk. You don't want to rush it. And at the end of that, is Coots going to want to even come back, or does he maybe want to move on, or does he just want to retire and be like, hey, I need to do this for my family right now, kind of a thing. I think, and I would at this point, I think we need to put the magnifying glass on everybody that's not Coots, because they're going to be the ones who are starting. They're going to be the ones that need to step up and be that leader that the Flyers need so much. And I've always been that. I've always been that guy, even when I was growing up, saying, no matter what happens, the coach has no say over the locker room. That's for the players. That's for
Well
the
said.
team's leaders to come
I
out.
think that's really well said, and I think that Tortorella is one of those coaches that will allow that to happen. Um, I do have the contract in front of me. I'll let you finish your take, and then I'll go over the Sean Couturier contract.
Okay. But at this point, especially with what I've seen, I am far more terrified that Carter Hart is going to have something happen to him. He has been getting injuries lately. He hasn't even matured as a goalie yet. Goalies don't mature until 26 on average. And the Flyers and Philadelphia has essentially been doing to him what they've done to every star that has come their way. And that is put the entire future of the city on his shoulders, on the shoulders of like a 20-year-old kid, while the
Mm-hmm.
Flyers haven't figured out how to play defense for like 3 seasons. And then when when the Flyers lose 13-0, and it's those consecutive month after month after month without a single win, we watch the media and everybody in Philadelphia blaming the goalie first. And I will
Always
say this
does.
again. I will say this again. We have the best fans in the entire world who have no idea how the sport actually works.
I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't agree with you more
No.
on that. My man Jack Reminelli texting what's going on, Bard. This is devastating news. I mean, it is definitely devastating, but we got a little bit of bright side coming from our man Alec. Samuel Urson have high hopes for after that. Did destroy heart, and he literally just was what you were saying. Thanks for that little comment there, Danny.
Oof.
Of course, my main man Curtis D'Angelini, former father judge, Crusader, ice hockey player. Team is made of paper machine. Kurt was like 5'3", and he played hockey. He was a damn good player now. But I have the contract in front of me, and I want to
Okay.
talk about it. Contract. We have him until 37. He's 37 years old. This was the big thing for me. $7,750,000, almost $8 million cap hit until 2030-31. It's some change. That's some change. It's a big contract. I want to say it's kind of friendly for what it is. 8 years, 62 mil, but
Mm-hmm.
you just don't know where things are going to lead. Are they essentially trying to build teams now around Sean Couturier who can't stay on the ice? I say the same thing about Ryan Ellis. If this guy isn't going to stay on the ice and play, what do you do? Like, what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you keep them. I was just
Right.
more invested in Sean Couturier, but it's just I don't even know. I don't even know what decision I would go. I don't know if I would move him. I don't know if I would keep him. I really don't. I'm still thinking. I don't know what I would do, and that might even be scary.
I would say just against that, what would you do if he was perfectly healthy and then it was just another season for Philly? Nothing's changed. It's just another going through the motions. Tortorella's been essentially neutered by the front office, and now all that. And I might be ranting at this point, but without that identity, without Philadelphia saying this is who and what we are, uh, you know, is it just going to be a season where it's just going to be more 4 commercials of the same sports gambling
Oh,
app on TV, and those commercials are going to pop up every time the puck is frozen. So it's
just a spot taken on TV, pretty much. Is what we're saying.
Essentially,
Is this team going to be
yes.
just a waste time? God, I mean, I love that too. I love that, and I'll dive into that. I'm going to read Skylar. Skylar, thanks again, brother. Did you hear the story about Flyer scouts pointing fingers to draft Cal McCarr in 17, but Ron Hextall refused and was set on old Patrick? Um, yeah, I mean that's what was said. I heard an interview not long ago
Mm.
about this, and hey, man, I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, but it's unfortunate. Cal McCarr is ranked probably number 2 in the league. I mean, it sucks. It sucks. It does. I mean, I'm big on the draft thing because I always go back to the JVR and Patrick Kane thing. And it's my biggest take. It still makes me sick. Probably because JVR is still on this team. But Nolan Patrick was number 2. He went number 2. They missed out on one of the. I mean, a damn good player. But it's devastating. But we all check that article out there, Skylar, and a little Skylar's as Flowers Insider.com step down. I'm just going to do some journalism and do some beat writing. He's quite well. I have just a few other things that I have to take care of, stuff like that, to really be role. And Skylar's the job thus far, and want to definitely take our hats off. Me, Alec, and I are happy as hell to be part of that team. So congrats, my man. And here, coming up here, Rebecca, thanks for checking in. My dad agrees. He said no one is captain material. If we need those sticks. Thanks for checking in. We'll have to get your dad on the show and talk some Flyers hockey. I mean, I still stick by this year. That's just how I feel. But let's transition to our last segment. And who do we have sitting there? What do you think they do? I mean, what do you think? Like, you're losing in a center. They just and it's 15 years. Probably they said it had nothing to do. I don't think that role would be. And as well just bring Gus back at this point.
Right.
How do you think? What's your take? What do you think on it? I'll give you mine.
At this point, I think everything that needs to happen is off ice. We need to stop looking at stats. We need to stop looking at, so and so scored 10 more goals than he did this season when he first started, or, whatever the case may be. I think the Flyers right now, and have been for a while, again, they need to refine that identity, because we're part of a league that no longer allows a Broad Street Bully team to exist. We are part of a league where had Bob Clark and his team been on the ice, I still think they never would have won the Stanley Cup, because the league would have completely taken their mojo out from under them as well. And at this point, you saw it in the players' faces, you saw it in the fans' faces, you saw it in the faces of everybody that was involved in it. They were so stuck in their own heads with frustration, with I would say sadness, kind of like a that mental block, where instead of just, when you play hockey, you, for the first 5 years of you playing, you're just learning fundamentals, you're learning foundation, and then immediately after that, it's what happens when when it doesn't survive the first contact with the enemy. Puck drops, anything happens. And if you are not willing to adjust to the situation and constantly be doing that in this sport, you're going to lose game after game after game after game. And you could actually get a dream team on. You can get a dream team, like the greatest, most skilled, best team in the world, and they won't win a single game if they're still stuck in their own heads. They're not playing for the moment. Sure, they got to have the foundation. They got to know where positions they play. They got to know where to play. But you're not going to have those guys battling for it in front of the net. You're not going to have those guys. And I loved Provy when we got him, but I was so disappointed because all the times I've watched Carter Hart stand alone, I'm like, Provy, you gotta like I don't care if you need to if you literally need to get kicked out for like a month or suspended for a month, you need to grab this guy and just choke slam him into the ice. That'll change the season.
Hey,
A
well,
trade's not going to change the season. Couturier being healthy is not going to change the season.
show the situation, my man. Have abused Cavs make a signing. Terrace Larkin. To know it because we're transitioning out. There are a lot of good players up next year. Let's see what happens. Like my guy, team anyway. Now is going to be big. It's the Ty Forrester going to be up here. I think he's going to play second line minutes. I think Forrester, fair, and maybe throw TK on the other side. Let's puck, but Forrester in Tyson Forrester. This guy, and that's my take. Minutes. He's proven healthy. He's playing incredible hockey. Tyson Forrester, get ready for the NHL, brother, because you're about to do the storm. I think that he's gonna be playing some big time minutes this year. And then you got Wade Allison too, man. You got Wade Allison. You know, I mean, he's coming. I'm getting kind of excited. I'm actually kind of like from guys that we have this injury. It's crazy, Alec. I think you're changing. I do. I think it. I think it. Another comment up here. It was pressing. Flowers were getting set on the race. Then Hart was getting shoved. Yeah. Yeah, this team had no toughness. No toughness whatsoever. But
I mean, the league has been really like watching everything we do under a magnifying glass too.
They're probably watching us right now. That being said, my brother, what's going on with the Philadelphia Warriors? How are our guys? Do you guys have anything coming up? Anything you want to plug about the Warriors? You guys have anything coming up? Any events? Anything that we can do?
Yes, actually. Let me grab my
the Expo.
phone.
The Expo. We have the Philadelphia Expo coming up. I mean, the South Jersey Expo. Yep.
Actually, go ahead. That's what I was actually going to grab my phone for.
Is that what it was? Okay, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, the South Jersey Expo. I'll make sure we get the full information in there. That's hosted by George, our good friend, great guy. Charity donations being going to be given to the Philadelphia Warriors. Super excited. I was supposed to be scheduled to be there, bringing my photos and obviously raising money for the Warriors. I will not be able to be in attendance, sadly, but I still have some things in the works I'm going to be doing with my Flyers photos, where a portion of the sales will be going to the Philadelphia Warriors. They're great to me. They've been great to me for a while now. Been able to do some incredible stuff with them, and keep that relationship going. They're say Alec is a dear good friend. We're always going to do stuff within them, and post about the Expo. We'll get it out there, and I'll be updating everybody on what I plan on doing to also raise money. Alec, my man, hot takes and cupcakes you delivered tonight, my friend. Your points were incredible. I mean, I'm even starting to get the wheels turning a little bit. I maybe dish it off and write an article about this. I love it, my man, the one and only Alec. I appreciate you being on, my good friend. We'll be talking soon. Anything you want to, any last minute final thought you want to mention? Go right ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention the Flyers Warriors team at the end of October, about October 27th. We're all flying out, or those of us who want to drive are driving. I'm not going to do that because just no. We're all heading to Michigan for the Warrior Classic. We're going to be defending our title. Our organization has actually grown significantly. We now have 4 teams, 4 tiers that are going to be representing Philadelphia. And as I've been saying with a lot of people, a lot of my buddies that are veterans be like, hey, come on out. It doesn't matter if you even know how to skate. Doesn't matter. Just come out, give it a shot. If anything, the Flyers Warriors are doing so much off the ice as we are doing on it.
Yep.
And we are just growing into such a huge, awesome, I would even say amazing organization. Brad Marsh is
Yeah.
our coach. He was the last guy, I think, either on the Flyers. For those of you who don't know him, he was the last guy on the Flyers to, fight the helmet enforcement thing. We have Dave the Hammer Schultz there all the time. We have the Hound there all the time. I always feel like a complete nerd in front of them because I'm like, I know more about your seasons than you do. I think I've got like a couple pucks sound by the Hammer, like right there. But yeah, just keep an eye out. Keep an eye on our social media at Philadelphia Flyers Warriors, and we have a bunch of things coming up. That expo, we have a raffle going on, so please reach out to one of us doing that, or you can just reach out to me directly.
Yeah. So
besides that, we're really looking forward to it.
super excited about all the good stuff. Skylar, great pod. Enjoyed listening. Alec, amazing guest with amazing host. Skylar, thank you so much for that, my brother. Yeah, and I'll give my final thought, and I'm going to pick it up right with Alec. Philadelphia Warriors, they've done incredible things. They're continuing to do incredible things. And we'll get all that information that Alec just mentioned, and we will get it posted within the social media of the Friend Tank Show. Obviously, we'll get in touch with Skylar. Maybe we can do something, put it at dinner with the Flyers Insider. It will be everywhere. Alex part of the Flyers Insider family. He's a good friend of mine. And, the Philadelphia Warriors team and organization, we've been with each other for over a year now, doing numerous things for each other. And we're going to keep that going on. So, like I said, check out their social media. They always have good things going on. And like I said, even if you can't skate, maybe get to shoot a puck called Duffy. He's a great guy. Gosh. We'll get all that info and we'll make sure that we get that posted. Alec, my man, once again, looking forward to reading all your stuff, my brother. And the deal, right. I'll be shooting you a text and we'll chat in a little bit. Alec, my friend, thanks for joining the Friend Tank Show.
Yep. Thanks for having me. This has been great.
You're great, my friend. Good guy, man. Just a great guy. Yeah, that's gonna wrap up this episode. This was it's definitely devastating news to hear what happened. I think I'll shed a little light on some things. We'll wait and see, and of course, stay tuned with all the good stuff from FlyersInsider.com, all the fine articles, breaking news, quick stuff. Shout out to Skylar actually because he was pretty quick on getting this out about Couturier. That's going to do it for the Frank the Tank Show. Tune in, as always, and shout out also to the Unity Podcast Network. And if you like, true crime podcasts, check out the Killers and Coffee podcast. It's a good one. Just had a little good interview. Killers and Coffee podcast on Spotify. All right, peeps. Thank you so much.